Freak elections. This is a term that is part of the political vocabulary in Singapore, but is rarely heard in other countries. What does it mean? How is it used? How seriously should we take it? A freak outcome shouldn't be confused with a surprise result. Surprises are not necessarily freakish. After all, if results were completely predictable by politicians, pundits, and pollsters, we wouldn't need elections. We take the trouble of asking every adult to vote precisely because they may tell us something we cannot predict. Instead, we can think of a freak election result as an outcome that is not what voters intended. Unintended consequences arise because each of us has only one vote to express different choices. In addition to picking who can serve us best at the constituency level, we can use the vote to decide, first, which party should form the government, or second, how large a parliamentary opposition we need to check on that government. In larger countries with more complex electoral systems, voters can split the ticket, so to speak. For example, they can vote for one party for federal elections and another for state or local races. In our much simpler system, we only elect members to a single house, which, unlike in proportional representation systems, does not fully reflect the popular vote. Things would be straightforward if everyone who wants a PAP government wants no opposition MPs, and everyone who wants opposition MPs also wants to remove the PAP from power. But judging from opinion polls and past election results, these two hardcore groups may make up at most 7 out of every 10 voters. There seems to be at least another 3 in 10 Singaporeans who want a larger parliamentary opposition, but also want the PAP to continue in power. Each of these 3 voters in the middle do not know how the other 2 will vote. The lack of regular opinion polls doesn't help, so they can't coordinate their votes. This too can contribute to unintended outcomes. If each overestimates the PAP's popularity and so votes opposition, and the pattern is repeated in every constituency, this would topple the PAP government even though that's not what the majority intended. At the other extreme, if each overestimates the opposition's appeal, all 3 may vote for the PAP in every constituency. This would eliminate the parliamentary opposition also against most voters' wishes. Voila, a freak result. In the run-up to a GE, you'll probably hear politicians counseling voters to beware of such freakish outcomes and be more careful with our vote. But is this risk really due to irresponsible voters? No, the desire for both a competent executive branch and an effective opposition to restrain authority is not a case of wanting to have your cake and eat it too. It's a balanced meal that our constitution recommends as necessary for a healthy democracy. Wanting a strong opposition and a stable government is a legitimate preference consistent with the spirit of our system of representative democracy. The main reason why Singapore is more prone to freak results than other countries is that we have a dominant party system where the opposition, by its own admission, is not ready to take power. So voters feel they have to perform this balancing act of growing the opposition, but not too much. How real, how large is the risk of a freak result? Remember, there are 2 types of freak elections. The first is where far fewer opposition members are elected than the electorate wants. The second is where the ruling party is thrown out by mistake. The PAP's scare tactic that it could be thrown out by a freak election seems to be more effective than the other side's warnings about an opposition wipeout, because based on past election trends and survey data, the electorate tends to err on the side of the status quo. Middle-of-the-road voters have been more afraid of ousting the ruling party by accident than of having too little opposition. They are also highly sensitive to the quality of opposition candidates. Even when every seat is contested, opposition parties generally find it hard to enlist strong candidates in enough numbers to close the perceived quality gap with the PAP. Things would probably change if the opposition grows and the PAP becomes less dominant. At some point, voters in the middle will stop trying to perform this tricky balancing act, wanting both an even stronger opposition and a PAP government. They will start asking the simpler question that voters everywhere ask: which party do I want running the country? Then, freak elections will probably fade away from Singapore's political vocabulary.